Emotional intelligence is more to do with your emotional quotient. A lot of things that happen in our lives, they are majorly because we are not aware about our own emotions, we are not aware about other people's emotions, and that kind of makes things very difficult. This was a time when I was working at Times of India. I was working in media industry. Everything is very fast. Everyone is very stressed all the time. At one point, we were about like 7 to 8 people in the room that day on our team. Everybody started fighting. Now, we were very good friends with each other. It's not that we had problems with each other, but that day, everyone was just fighting. And our boss was like, why do I have tempers flying around today? Why are emotions running so high?
Hello everyone, I am Jitendra Singh, banker turned entrepreneur and author of the book Pep Hack Mastering the Art of Selling. I welcome you to read my story where I interview authors, speakers, coaches, celebrities, entrepreneurs and more. Today I have with me Dr. Gayatri Deshmukh. She has been conferred as honorary doctor in meditation practices by the World Peace Institute of United Nations. She recently made it to the Hope's Story India list of India's 100 under 40. She has also achieved the title of Distinguished Toastmaster, the highest education recognition offered to an individual by Toastmasters International. She has completed the mentoring module by Toastmasters. She was recently appointed as Yoodli's AI speech coach ambassador. She has an expertise in meditation techniques that help in defeating stress and anxiety, which are product of competitive world and lifestyle. She has an expertise in chakra meditation. She is an Alliance Yoga certified trainer. She has developed meditation routine with a combination of breath work and sound energy to help people defeat stress and anxiety. Gayatri started her career as a writer at the age of 17. After working in the media industry for over a decade, she set out on a spiritual journey which included 3,500 kilometers of walk barefoot in wilderness during the time she lived on Bhiksha charity. She is a speaker on different modalities and topic of her interest are emotional intelligence, stress and anxiety management, barriers to communication, effective monitoring, journey to acceptance, expectation management, holistic life management, nail your affirmation, and much more. Today she will be discussing with us about her life journey. So let us hear from her. Welcome Gayatri. The platform is open and now over to you.
Thank you so much for inviting me, Jitendra. It is really wonderful coming on Read My Story. I think stories connect people with each other better than anything else. The stories of two people may not be the same, they cannot be similar, they may be completely diverse, can be completely different, but there is always some element of story, even though it is very different from us, our personality, our beliefs, our ideologies, our thoughts. There's always some element that emotionally connects with people, which is why when we talk about ourselves, telling our story, I think, is a good idea to initiate the communication. I'm really happy to be here.
Right, and every story inspires people in one or the other form because there are so many things we go through in our life which creates so many success stories within itself. So it would be pleasure to have you here today and looking into what stories you carry with you. So first thing I'd like to know from you is like how did your past life has affected the person who you wanted to be in your life and what you are?
So when you're talking about past life, what past life are we talking about? Are we talking about the past in this life, or are you talking
It's in
about
current life.
all the past life?
No, in current life only. Whatever have passed, like it's basically about when we were growing, when we were child. So we have certain thoughts about career options. So from there till now.
The thing is, Jitendra, I personally feel that whatever we are in the present day is usually the result of our past actions, past decisions. And those decisions may not always be right or wrong. Sometimes they are just decisions. Things could have gone either way and they cannot always be categorized into right or wrong. Today, everything that I'm doing, When I make a decision to, let's say, talk to you, when I make a decision to, let's just say, whether to eat something or not, it is going to some way affect what I'll be 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line. We may feel that it's a temporary result, but it's not always like that. We talk about the philosophy of karma. Karma strikes back at some point. So it's really important what we are doing and that we do it with the right intentions. As a kid, there was a point in my life when I was bullied. Then there was a point in my life when I believed someone. There was a point in my life when I was victim of someone's anger issues. And there were times when someone else was victim of my anger issues. I wouldn't call myself a victim kind of person because I don't perceive myself as a victim. Have I been a victim? Yeah, in a few cases I was. But I'll admit that there were points when I made other people victims as well. I think as humans, we need to be aware of what we are doing and we need to accept as to who we are the way we are. Unless we do that, we can't move forward. As a child, I was very free-spirited kind of a person since I was a child. Never cared about anything, never cared about what people thought about me. I was more of a shameless kind of a person because I believe shame is a social construct. It's got nothing to do with personal things.
True.
So I never really felt very ashamed. There are very few times that I feel ashamed, and when that happens, I kind of take my decision seriously. Okay, if I am ashamed now, this is really something messed up. I was 4 years old when I had gone to this small village called Daryapur. It is in Vidarbha region of Maharashtra. My grandmother stayed there, my mother's aunt. Me and my cousin, 4 5 years old, my mother pregnant with my sister. We were playing. She had about more than 50 buffaloes and more than 20 cows. So there was naturally this gobar gas plant. Now, people who don't know gobar gas plant, what it is, it's basically cow tongue, buffalo tongue collected, and it's a very big energy generator. It creates fertilizers. So it's basically a swimming pool filled not with water but with cow tongue, buffalo tongue. And there is time when it kind of ferments and rises up. Me and my cousin were told not to go there. So naturally we went there. We wanted to play ringa roses, pocket full of hoses, Aisha, Wisha. Both of us fell right into the gobar gas plant. Fortunately, my uncles, both my mamas, they had immense faith in us that we are not going to listen to what elders have told and that we will go there if we are told not to go there. So they were right there. So the moment we fell down, it was a near-death experience. Not that I understood what the near-death experience was. If you are an Indian, you will understand what I mean when I say,
Correct.
after we got out of that gobar gas plant, first my mother washed me with water. After that, she washed me with anything and everything she found to beat me up because she was scared. She was scared to hell because it was her child that was going to die. But what was expressed was not worry. What she was feeling was worry. What she expressed was anger. These experiences have been very curious for me since I was a child. Well, as I grew up, things didn't really change much. Even in college, I was just like that 4 year old child, not really caring about it. If riot is going on, and I was a journalist with Times of India, I would just walk in with not a care of anything. Today, when I look back at it, all of those incidences, they were stupid decisions, if you ask me, in a few cases because they were risky. But then again, as I grew older, I was in my 20s, now I was working in media industry. I was now becoming more cautious about myself. And suddenly I realized that I was saying with my mouth that I don't care, but deep inside, what people thought of me really mattered to me. Meaning, I wanted people to think that I don't care, and I would make attempts to make people believe that. At one point of time, I hit rock bottom. That was it. All of my fake show of pretending and making up things and focusing more on creating an image rather than becoming something myself, it kind of took a toll and I fell into depression. When I was in depression, I had a choice to make. What do I do? I would have ended up in mental asylum, but I decided to go in wilderness for Narmada Parikrama. It was during those 7.5 months. Then that journey extended a bit after that as well, wherein I took the Bharat Yatra, wherein I was traveling. So it has been fun. It has been an intriguing and an interesting journey. The moment I returned from my spiritual journey, the whole pandemic had struck already.
Right.
Just when the entire world got trapped in their houses, a very different world opened for me. I joined Toastmasters during lockdown, and joining Toastmasters during the year 2020 meant one thing. It doesn't matter what hour of the day it is. Somewhere in the world, there are at least 15 to 20 people meeting online in a Toastmasters meeting, because Toastmasters is spread across Australia to Hawaii. So in every time zone, something or else is happening. So even in the middle of the night, if I felt like I just wanted to speak, all I had to do was hop into some meeting. How all of these experiences have contributed towards making me the person I am today. I don't care, but I care when I need to. So all of the things that happened in my life in the past, since I was a child until today, how they have contributed towards making me what I am today. The mistakes I made, they made me a better person because I learned not to repeat them. I had a tendency of falling into patterns. We all, as human beings, have a tendency of falling into patterns.
True.
Finally, all of my experience is now helping me break those patterns. I don't care about a lot of things these days, but I care about the things that matters. The things those matter. Because today I know that there is no thumb rule. We might like things in black and white, but things will always be in gray. So if you're asking me how my past life has contributed towards making me who I am, it has contributed in a way that today, sitting in front of you, I can tell you that I'm not judgmental as a person. Tell me anything, I won't judge.
That's really wonderful, because that is the only thing which people don't do actually. So, coming back to things you are passionate about in your life, what are those things?
Have you heard about addictions?
Yes.
What is difference between addictions and passions?
Addiction you can't live without, and passion is also same thing which you can't live without. So in one sense you can say both are same.
So, yeah, there was one point in my life when I actually started thinking, am I passionate about eating or am I just food addict? It was a valid question. It was a valid question. As I worked in media industry, I used to often find myself at parties, at events.
Right.
These parties and events were very curious because everything was freely flowing. There would be a section filled with a variety of alcohol. Then there was a section which was filled with a variety of drugs. Then there was another section where everybody would just spend time smoking. Amidst all of this, what I would be doing? Amidst all of this, I would be heading straight to the dessert counter right in the beginning of the party. Then I would just sit and wait for the waiter to walk around with starters. The only thing I found myself interested in it during the entire party or during all the time of all the parties was that the only thing that excited me was food. So if you're asking me what I'm passionate about, I would say food. But I would also admit that at one point I diagnosed myself as a food addict when I was in my spiritual journey. Now here I was surviving on charity, Riksha. Every morning I would pray, Mother, but after the first 15 days, I would pray, आज खाने को कुछ अच्छा दे देना माँ, आज ना बहुत मन कर रहा है कुछ खाने का. And you won't believe. Now people will think that this is nothing, but it is a lot, especially when you're begging on the streets for food. I really got some very good food to eat during the spiritual journey. The first 15 days were tough. All I got to eat during the first 15 days was lentils soup, and that is the dal as we call it, and roti. That is all. As a person, I was always very choosy and picky when it came to eating vegetables. It would annoy my mother like anything. But during this journey, after the first 15 days were gone, because during those 15 days, I got to eat sabzi, that is vegetable, only twice. So after 15 days, I was like, Ma, kuch bhi de do, give me anything, I will eat it. So anything that closely resembled to any vegetable, I would eat that as well. My mother is happy today as a mother that I eat everything. But yeah, it was during that journey I discovered that I can live without anything, but I can't live without food. And it's got nothing to do with food being an essential for body. It's over here and it's over here, the taste buds. And during this journey, I actually am not kidding. Ma, आज ना cake खाने का मन कर रहा है. During that journey, I even got to eat cake.
Right.
And my mother is like, people over there, they struggle for food. What are you doing? Who is giving you all of these things? I said, people just look at me and they feel like I'm a Bechari person and I should eat something good. During this journey, I also got to eat a cheeseburger. Somebody gave it to me. The most embarrassing experience of all. Just ahead of River Tawa in Madhya Pradesh, I had to cross that river and go to the next city. Just ahead of it, there were a few dhabas, and it was 7 p.m., so I couldn't walk at night. I had to stay there. I had just come out of a really long rural area jungle trip where there was not much. So I spoke to the dhaba owner and said that, can I just, stay over here in your like on one of your carts because I can't walk now. I want to go early morning tomorrow. He said, you would stay in our house. They said that in our house, we don't prepare chapatis at night because everybody is working in the dhaba. So would you be okay with tandoor roti? And now I'm thinking, tandoor roti when I am in spiritual journey, that's a luxury. I was like, yeah, sure. And which sabzi would you like to have? I was like, okay, safe tomato is safe. I would like safe tomato. I mean, Jitendra, how many tandoor rotis can you eat?
Maximum 2.
How many tandoor rotis have you seen people eating? People you know.
Normally 4 to 5 if they're really very hungry.
I ate 6 tandoor rotis that day, and I did not ask for 7th one because I was embarrassed. And after that, I ate rice and dal. I am very sure that those people were thinking that we are calling in our homes a saint wearing white robes with a kamandalu in hand and with a bag on her back. And I believe by the time I left, they were sure that it was some avatar of Bakasur. Because till today, I have no explanation as to how I managed to eat 6 tandoor rotis. So if you're asking me what is my passion, I don't think there can be anything apart from food.
Yeah. Great. So that was a really wonderful story you shared from your journey of spirituality about the food addiction or maybe being passionate about food. So now if I talk about your work and experiences, how you started your career, what all you did.
I was 17 years old. I wanted to become a writer. My parents said 1 in a lakh, 1 in a million get that opportunity. They were implying that I'm not that 1 in a million. So I was kind of offended. So at the age of 17, I walked into the office of a local newspaper. I told them that I'm a very good writer. You should hire me. And they were like, how old are you? I said 17. They were like, you're not even a graduate, so you're not qualified. And I came back home, dejected, depressed. And then I thought, if I have to get rejected, might as well get rejected by national newspaper. Why would I get rejected by a local newspaper? So the very next morning, I walked into the office of Nashik edition of Times of India. And I told them, hey, I'm a really good writer. You should hire me. As luck would have it, they were actually looking for some college students to contribute to the paper so that they would get more of what youngsters were doing. So that's how I got my first opportunity, and from there the journey just began. So since then I have been a writer.
Great.
After that, while I was doing that, I even completed law. I became a lawyer at the age of 22. I interned with National Human Rights Commission, New Delhi. Then I practiced in court for some time, but happy people don't go to court. So I chose not to go there. I left all the practice and everything. I then took up a full-time job at Times of India. After that, I moved to Viacom 18 as a PR executive. Then I moved to Z Network as an executive producer. Then I left everything, and that's when the spiritual journey began.
Right. So you worked in media industry for almost 10 years. After that, you started working on your own.
More than 10 years actually in media industry. After that, I started. So currently, I work as a stress and anxiety management coach, emotional intelligence coach, life coach. Now, what does this coaching basically mean is one question that a lot of Indians have. This is more of a concept wherein a person who is guiding you to the process. It's more of mentoring for life. If you're facing issues in personal life, then a person like me usually helps you understand and decode all the relationship aspects, the entangled emotions. I help you in releasing those emotions. If you're having some troubles with your professional life, for instance, you want to change your career, or if you want to move ahead in your career, or if you're facing a roadblock in your promotions. So then people like me, we sit with you and we talk things out to understand exactly what might be causing that hindrance in the promotion. If you are going through some troubles in your matrimonial life, then someone like me helps you in understanding your priorities, in understanding what you really want to do. If you are in that state of confusion, there is this interaction that happens. In short, as it happened in Bhagavad Gita, a conversation between Krishna and Arjun, a life coach is basically that,
Correct.
wherein it is not about preaching somebody, but it is about helping the person to arrive at a right decision. And
True.
that decision has to be that person's. So that is what I do for a living.
That's really wonderful because the concept of coaching in India is not new. It's been for so many generations, so many years. It has always been there. But if we talk about these things, so we are seeing it as a new concept coming from West, but we don't understand that this concept was already there in our culture.
Correct.
We were not following it for last few decades, maybe, or we can say few centuries. We were not following these things, but these were there, and these were really powerful things whenever like people like Arjun or maybe kings of that old times, they have any kind of mind blocks or any kind of situations where they need advice, suggestions. They always have some spiritual gurus as well as some guide with them who will keep on guiding them on various aspects. Dharma gurus, Shastra experts, and there were also gurus who were teaching them how to fight. So everything was there, but we were not following it. So it's really very, very important thing that we have certain coaches with us who can guide us on various things in our life, and it can help our journey shorter and more meaningful, and we would be following right thing at right time. So that will help us grow fast. So that's really great to hear about like your work and experiences. So if I talk about your vision, mission, goal in life for next 5 to 10 years from now, so what that would be? I want to be able to impact as many lives as possible across the globe. I want to establish myself as a meditation coach, as a stress and anxiety management coach. I want people to learn the breathing techniques that can help them get rid of stress, anxiety, migraines, or any issues that is causing any trouble right here. Because I think I managed to survive the depression and thrive after it. I think it can happen to anyone. And I did not fight depression with any kind of medication. I fought it with simple faith, belief, and breathing techniques. Had these breathing techniques not been with me, it wouldn't have worked. I want to make people aware about the real power of chakra meditation. There are a lot of people who teach chakra meditation. I'm not saying that they are teaching wrong things, but I think that there is a lot of depth to it which is not uncovered when it becomes a commercial thing. Right. A lot of people have made it commercial, and in the process of commercialization, the whole chakra meditation thing is modified to fit what people will like rather than what it actually is. True. In this particular scenario, I personally feel that I want to make people aware that when they come to learn meditation, they are basically coming to a doctor. It doesn't matter whether they like the pill or not. They have to take it as it is. It can be put in the capsule, but there are only so many pills that can be put in the capsules. All the pills cannot be put into capsules. Some pills have to be taken as they are. Some medicines have to be taken in form of liquid. Some medicines have to be taken in form of powder. There's nothing you can do about it. So I think it's high time you need to accept. Correct. The most important thing is like meditation, yoga, exercise. It takes little longer time, but the results are really better because it gives you not only the stress, anxiety, tension-free life, but it also gives you a better health also. So it is kind of a thing which work on all aspects of our life. So it is better to go for a meditation expert rather than medication expert. True, absolutely true.
So
So,
I'm not more into the medication part. I rely more on the meditation part.
meditation is better as compared to medication, because medication would always have, if it gives you on better on one aspect, it will give you some negative aspect also on your other body parts, maybe. So better to have medication, not sorry, I'm getting confused with meditation and medication. So it's better to have meditation rather than medication. So if I talk about the most important life lessons you have learned from your personal and professional journey so far, what are those things?
There are a lot actually, but the prominent ones, number one, shame is a social construct. A lot of people will shame you to make you feel bad about yourself and make you do things that you don't want to do. Do
That's
not
true.
fall into that trap. Second lesson that I learned, you need to prioritize yourself. It is easy to forgive other people for the wrongs they have done to us, but it is very difficult to forgive ourselves if we have done wrong to other people because we put ourselves at a pedestal and it becomes very difficult to accept that I did something wrong. So we either never forgive ourselves and go on a guilt trip or we live in denial. I learned a lesson that both the things don't help.
Correct.
Sometimes you just have to accept and move on.
Right.
Third,
Accept is like accept, and also solution finding is also required.
absolutely. And that is why it is important that, okay, I've made a mistake. I'm sorry, but I need to forgive myself to move on. Otherwise, I'll get stuck over there. So, not to
True.
get stuck. It's okay. Forgive yourself. That's important. Third lesson that I learned, at least like something that is happening right now with me or I have experienced in my life so far. The third and the most important lesson is, you know what, if you want it, you'll have it. Just want it enough that the universe has to give it to you.
Correct.
That is the thing. Like these are the three most important lessons I have learned. There are many others, but I would choose these three.
And right, and all the, like there's so many things in life we always miss out on, and we this is third one which you rightly mentioned is when we want something very badly or desperately, we get those things. But the thing is, when we ask for negative things, that happens faster. So for positive things, we have to be consistent, and it takes time.
Takes time. Buddha said, we don't wish, wishes come true. A little modification to that is be very careful about what you wish because wishes come true.
True.
Be very careful, be it for yourself or for someone else.
So always think of positive aspect. That will help you gradually be on positive aspect.
Absolutely.
So that's really wonderful one. If I talk about emotional intelligence, which you used to talk about as in your personal interest. So what exactly is emotional intelligence and how significant it is for us?
Emotional intelligence is more to do with your emotional quotient. A lot of things that happen in our lives, they are majorly because we are not aware about our own emotions, we are not aware about other people's emotions, and that kind of makes things very difficult. This was a time when I was working at Times of India. I was working in media industry. Everything is very fast. Everyone is very stressed all the time. At one point, we were about like 7 to 8 people in the room that day on our team. Everybody started fighting. Like everybody. Now, we were very good friends with each other. It's not that we had problems with each other, but that day, everyone was just fighting. And our boss was like, why do I have tempers flying around today? Why are emotions running so high? Following that day, when we all sat discussing about how our lives were sucking at that point of time, we all realized that on that day, everybody was going through a lot more than anybody could handle. Somebody was missing her boyfriend because she was in a long distance relationship and she had not met him for a very long time. There was someone whose boyfriend was not being committal, or rather, he was remaining non committal, wherein she was putting all of the work and it was kind of driving her crazy. There was another one who was feeling that she was inadequate in a marriage because she wasn't able to perform all the roles properly. There was yet another person who was wondering, how do I just convince my parents to let me marry the girl I want to marry. Then there was yet another one who was more into, this is not what I do want to do in my life. I want to do something else, but what do I do? Everybody here seems to have figured it out. I am the only one who has not figured it out, and why is everybody shouting? So she joined the frenzy. And then I was thinking, what if all of us had actually that day realized what exactly we were feeling, and what if we had accepted it? That would have made it easier for us to find a solution. It would have then made it easier for us to understand what the other person was going through. And instead of shouting at each other in the office, we would have probably maintained a very good, cordial social environment. And that's when I realized emotional intelligence is very important in the workplace, in personal life, professional life, and most importantly, in everything that we do. In social life, most importantly. The first aspect of emotional intelligence is awareness. Awareness is more to do with what we are, what we want, how we are feeling. Is it really what we are feeling, or we are just thinking that we are feeling like this because we should feel like that? Acceptance. It's okay if I'm angry. I just need to accept that, yes, I am angry. It's okay. It's an emotion. Everybody goes through it.
Correct.
Once I know that this is what the problem is, I know now I can find a solution. Then comes the third aspect, motivation. You can find it inside you, you can find it externally. The process varies from person to person, situation to situation. Once we are motivated enough, in olden days they used to say, bhare pet, sab theek hota hai. So once we have enough motivation, we can become empathetic towards others. कि भाई मेरे पास है तू भी थोड़ा ले ले. I have it, you also take some from me. So that makes us empathetic. And empathy is important because unless we understand what a fellow human being is going through, unless we accept even that person can be flawed, just like me, that empathy kind of makes you a better person. And once all of these four elements come together, automatically you become socially influential, because people usually say like, you know what, this person seems to be nice, we can talk to this person.
Right.
So these are the 5 elements of emotional intelligence.
Correct. And there are things in everybody's life, like everybody is so filled up with so many things. Sometimes it happens they burst out because they are not able to carry out their emotions on the right time, or maybe they are not able to share their feelings with others, or maybe they are not discussing things with others. So that is kind of a reason that happened in your office that day.
It happens everywhere. I think we all Indians, not just Indians actually, everybody goes through this phenomena called as displacement of emotions. Because
Right.
we are not aware about our true emotions, because we don't accept our true emotions, what is expressed is not the emotion we are feeling. Like that incident I mentioned, wherein I fell into the gobar gas plant and my mother was like beating me up. Now the thing is, I spoke about she was worried, but what was expressed was anger. What was happening inside her was worry. She was scared. She was scared what would have happened. But what was expressed was not fear. What was expressed was
The
anger.
input and output were opposite.
They were very different. They were very different. So that to avoid these, now this kind of emotional displacement is okay for a mother, but we can't have these kind of emotional displacements in our workplace. We can't have these emotional displacements with our spouses anymore. So I think everybody needs to be emotionally intelligent these days.
Right. And they should not only be caring for their own emotions, but the other person's also.
Yeah, which is why the fourth thing, empathy, to understand, to resonate with what the other person is feeling, and then helping them.
Correct. And if they start to be on the same path, both of them try to understand each other, the things would be easy for them to follow. Relationship would be better, whether it's official or it's personal, family, whatever.
Correct.
It can also be better. So onto it further, we have seen so many situations wherein we lose our emotions and we behave which we are not actually. So how we can become more emotional intelligent in our daily routine things? Because what happens is we are holding things back onto us, it bursts out someday. So how to keep on working on regular basis, like regular checks onto our own self and people around us. So what are the things we can do on a daily basis, regular basis, so that these things be checked and be on a right path?
So that particular, this is a really very interesting part, because this is where the life coaching comes into play. I spoke about the 5 elements. Awareness, how to become aware. It's not a one-day thing.
Correct.
for becoming aware, to have that kind of awareness about yourself, to have that awareness about how I feel when somebody does something, awareness how that other person feels when I do something, the kind of reaction I'm getting. That awareness takes time. There is a proper process that can be followed to find that awareness. A life coach can help in that. So, what I personally do is I help my clients arrive at a point wherein they become aware about themselves. There are certain exercises involved. There are certain things that we give them as homework to do. And after some point, a few days are spent in practice of what is being told. After that is achieved, then we move on to the next level, that is the level of acceptance. So we are basically feeling angry. The other person tells us, you are angry, and the next thing we do is we shout, I'm not angry. We are in denial about the fact that we are angry because we are told it is wrong to be angry. A lot of social influence, social pressures cause as a roadblock in this journey of acceptance. So, as a coach, we help people in arriving at a point wherein the process of acceptance becomes smoother. Process of acceptance is the most difficult one in the entire
Correct.
routine, in this entire set, because acceptance doesn't come easy. So there is an entire exercise or a set of exercises that we go through to help people accept things, accept themselves the way they are, accept what they feel. Once that is done, then we work on what is it that can motivate the client? What is it that this person can do to find that right motivation? The motivation cannot be negative. The motivation has to be positive. It has to come from inside. It has to come from outside. But what comes from inside is the most important. And then you need to surround yourselves with people who, or kind of elements that will keep on motivating. Once that thing is arrived, once that thing is achieved, then the empathy part becomes a little easier. When you are happy, it is easy to spread happiness. That is what happens here. Because you're aware about yourself, you have accepted yourself, it becomes easier to understand what the other person is going through, to be able to step in that person's shoes. So I think that comes into play over here in empathy part. And social skills is, again, once all of this is done, you don't have your outbursts publicly when society is around you. So that would be a social skill, not to burst out in public and do something embarrassing or have a displaced emotion demonstrated in a public platform. That shouldn't happen. So social skills is something that is taken care of if the first four aspects are taken care of. So it's kind of a stepwise thing. So you have to take one step at a time to reach there.
Correct. And regular practicing all these things that will help. But what happens is we are kind of ignorant. We don't like see these things as important as other things.
True, that happens.
Right. So coming back to you again, if I talk about you again, are you an introvert or an extrovert kind of a person while meeting people or facing audiences? And what do you think the plus or minus of the same is?
I believe a person in today's age and time cannot choose to be an extrovert or an introvert. You have to be an ambivert, leaning towards being an extrovert depending on people you are surrounded with, or leaning towards being an introvert depending on what your job demands. Nobody today can afford to be either extrovert or introvert. You really have to be an ambivert, and you really have to pick on best of the two. As far as talking about pros and cons, an introvert might lose out on a few opportunities because an introvert doesn't speak, and an extrovert might lose out on a lot of opportunities because they speak a lot. So it's really a balance. It doesn't, it depends on how the other person is. It depends on how the other person perceives you. So there is no right answer to this. You all have to be ambiverts.
Be
So
situational.
these days I have become an ambivert.
Great. So throughout your journey, there would be certain people who supported you. Who were those supported you throughout?
I believe in the concept of soulmates. Over here, soulmates is not about people who you marry. No, that's not soulmate. Soulmates are a group of souls that take birth together, and those people come and go in and out of your life as and when you require. If you need that person really, that person's help, they'll come along, they'll do what they need to do, and then they will leave. They don't necessarily have to be a part of your life throughout. It can be at intervals. So I have had a lot of people. So if I sit and start listing, it would be extremely unfair if I miss out on something. So I don't want to list people, but I can tell you this, that at various points in my life, there have been different people who have helped me reach where I am today.
Right. And that's really wonderful. Like you are always surrounded with so many people who support you directly, sometimes indirectly also. And some people come in your life for a small support and they vanish. Some people stay in your life for a longer duration, keep on supporting you. So you have multiple type of people in your life. So if I talk about things you got inspired from or motivated from, what are those things or people or maybe anything in your life?
I get motivated from anything and everything. I have never had a problem of motivation. Never in my life. I was always motivated, which was one of the reasons why when I was in depression, for me, being in depression was a challenge. All right, now what do I do? Okay, this is what I will do. And that's how I went out on my spiritual journey. So I think I find motivation everywhere and anywhere. And to go into the specifics, finding motivations is different for every person because it is very subjective. Some people find motivation from the motivational talks, which I believe are very temporary in nature.
Right.
Personally, I believe that we have to reach a point wherein we can find that motivation within ourselves. So when we are listening to a motivational talk, it should be just a trigger. We cannot rely on that motivational talk for finding motivation. Motivation has to be within you, and that motivational talk has to be just the trigger. In my opinion, Krishna has been one of the most influential motivational speaker so far. When I find myself in a situation when I need that little trigger. So there are two things I go to. The first one is Bhagavad Gita, because whatever Krishna said to Arjun can really motivate anyone.
Right.
Second, I go through the literature of Adi Shankaracharya. It is quite illuminating. So it just kind of lights that, like the motivation we have, it just kind of awakens it. So these are the two places where I go for motivation.
And that's really wonderful thing because we talk about these things as a spiritual journey, but the thing is these are not only spiritual ones, but these are life lessons also, and very meaningful, and you can apply them on any aspect of your life, whether relationship, whether business, whether job, whether your personal thoughts, your emotional intelligence, whatever you talk about. So these principles, these theories, these techniques, whatever taught by Lord Krishna or Adi Yogi, which you mentioned, I forget the name, Adi Shankaracharya. Right. His life lessons also, like they were really amazing. And there were so many other spiritual leaders, thought gurus also who have written so many books. They were really meaningful. And if we start reading them, they can create magic in anybody's life.
True. Adi Shankaracharya has been that person. I mean, I really find him with as someone who has great sense of humor. Krishna had a good sense of humor, I must admit. So that kind of helped me. They both have been driving forces. Whenever I feel like I'm not finding a solution, I go to their texts and literature and I find a solution. Not just for me, even for my clients, sometimes I refer.
Right. That's really wonderful. So if I talk about your thoughts, your take about success, what is that?
Success is again very subjective. For some people, earning a lot of money can be success. For some people, power can be equivalent of success. For some people, to be loved a lot can be a parameter for success. For some people, just being able to influence minds or impact lives can be success. It all depends on what we think as success. So, to give an example for each, for people like Ambani and Adani, their financial status, their financial position, their economical strength is what determines their success.
Right.
For someone like, let's say, Prime Minister of India, President of America, or these leaders of the countries, for them, how much power they wield on an international platform, how many countries bow down to them, how many countries feel obligated to listening to them, that essentially defines their power. and that is considered a success of that particular country.
Right.
Come to for someone like, let's say, Mahatma Gandhi. He had no position. He had technically no power. He technically had no money either. But I think he had all of the three, because what his success was that he influenced many minds and he impacted many lives.
Right.
For me, what is success? For me, success would be that, to be able to influence many minds, to be able to impact many lives. Money can follow. Love, we are depending on another person to love us. And I like to be Atmanirbhar. I like to be self-dependent. So I think the last one is what I would look for. Because when you talk about love, if you notice, I gave no example for love. Because
Right.
we can sometimes talk about Mahatma Gandhi, but he was also not loved. There are so many people who don't love him. We talk about Sachin Tendulkar. He has his own set of critics as well. Sachin Tendulkar. So I believe it is more to do with what we are. So personally, for me, it would be how much I can influence minds of people and how much I can impact lives. That will determine if or not I'm successful.
That's really wonderful one, because impacting others' life in a positive way, that could be the best thing we can achieve. So, moving on to the last one, any message, advice you would like to share with our viewers and listeners?
Please ask for help. We are living in times when asking for help for some reason is considered as a sign of weakness. It is not. Going to a therapist is not a taboo. Going to a psychiatrist is not a taboo. Asking for help is not a taboo. People judging you, who cares? Nobody tells what they are doing. Do not base your decisions based on what other people are thinking about you or what other people will think about you. I'm going to let you in on a very big secret which everybody knows, everybody talks about it, but they don't realize what exactly is happening. In Western countries, if people are going through depression, if they are having career problems, if they are having any kind of issues that they are not able to address, in the first scenario, they go to a psychiatrist or a psychologist to get the therapy.
Right.
For career, they go to career coaches. For life problems, they go to life coaches. In India, it doesn't matter what problem you're going through. If your family is not the kind that they will take you to a psychiatrist, then rest assured you're going to an astrologer. For sure. In India, it is the truth. My grandfather was an astrologer. He passed it on to me. Astrology is one area which the astrologer is basically the motivational speaker for the people. He's basically a psychologist for the people. He is even a psychiatrist when he's telling you that, it's because of this planetary position that you're feeling like this. This feeling is extremely temporary. Don't worry about it. Oh, don't worry about it. It's not you. It's your planetary positions. Who better person you can have in your life who can tell you that it's not about you, it's about planetary positions.
Right.
If going to an astrologer is making you feel better, do it. Because astrologers, what they're basically doing is that they're telling you what is what. But make sure you're going to a good one. Don't go to just there are shams everywhere, even in life coaches, even in every field, even in astrologers. Just make sure that you go through the credibility of the person. And how will you judge the credibility of the person? You just know it when you talk.
Right.
Believe in your instincts, believe in your gut feeling over there. Ask for help. You are not going to get it sitting at home. Ask for help.
Correct. Because there are certain times you cannot help yourself. You need external help. And there are people, experts, who can definitely guide you on that part. So that's really important for us to understand that external help can help us in many ways. So with this note, I must thank you, Gayatri, for your time. You really shared a lot of things, your stories, and how you worked on to improve your personal life as well, and how you are improving others' life now with all your coaching experiences. So that's really a wonderful thing. And I really enjoyed our conversation, whatever we have discussed today, from your life journey, from your experiences. That was really wonderful. And looking forward to hear more from you soon again. And probably on
Thank
the
you
same
so
topic,
much.
or maybe on other topic which we were discussing about before the interview. So thank you so much, Gayatri, for your time.
Thank you so much for the opportunity, Jitendra. It was wonderful. I really loved the interaction. I hope it was not dragging or boring at any point.
Yes, yes. And I will also share your social media link so that people can be in touch with you, take your help and guidance also. So, guys, don't forget to check that out too. Thank you so very much, everyone, for watching and listening. I hope you all must have gathered a lot of information and enjoyed watching it. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Have a good time. Thank you, and bye bye.